my channel. On this episode, I'm going to be teaching you just some basic eyeshadow techniques that I feel like everyone should know, and also too, I'm going to be giving you my recommendations on what colors I feel like will be great for your skin tone. So I'll see you back in a sec. So as you know, on my channel, I like to do everything in order for you guys. So now that our brows are perfectly shaped and tweezed, I'm going to teach you guys just some simple basic eyeshadow techniques that you can incorporate into your makeup routine on a daily basis. So now starting off with eyeshadow colors. There's so many different types of palettes out there. How do you know what palette to choose? Do I go with a matte palette? Do I go with a shimmery palette? Every basic eyeshadow palette should start off with the matte side. So I like to incorporate shine afterwards, but everybody needs to have a basic eyeshadow palette that is all matte. Now, whenever choosing a basic eyeshadow palette, there's some brands out there where you can customize your eyeshadow palette. So for example, I got my eyeshadow palette from the MAC Pro store. You don't have to be a professional makeup artist to customize your palette at the MAC Pro store. They do sell them individually, so it's really nice to be able to customize something for your own skin tone. It's just a little bit frustrating whenever you buy this huge palette and you only use 4 out of 12 colors, and it's just such a waste and you never end up using it. And also too, whenever you customize your own palette, it's a lot smaller, so it's more portable if you want to take it with you. So I highly recommend customizing your own basic eyeshadow palette just for every single day. And then later, if you want to go and start collecting, these name brand palettes that are just so beautiful, you can go ahead and collect those and add those to your everyday basic eyeshadow routine. But starting off with your basic eyeshadow routine, I think it's really great to incorporate some warm tones and some cool tones. So if you take a look at my eyeshadow palette right over here, I have a really basic, just flat white shade that's going to neutralize the eyelid. So it's almost going to act as a foundation for our eyelid to give us a blank canvas for any color that we want to add. And then I have some really beautiful crease tones. Now, if your skin tone is very, very fair, I'm talking porcelain, ivory, the fairest skin tone that there is out there, you want to start off with a really, really white shade. And whenever you're purchasing a white shade that's going to go on the eyelid, be sure that that shade is almost really, really like white. And also be sure that it doesn't have a lot of yellow in it. So as you can see, this one right over here, it is a white shade, but it also has a little bit of a yellow tint. So just specifically, if your skin tone is very fair, be sure it is almost like a white out white. Now, if your skin tone is fair, I recommend going with a base color that is a white color, but not necessarily too white, just so that way it does give you that base, but it's not going to be too white on the skin. Now, if your skin tone is like mine, you are fair to medium, I recommend getting, again, that same white color. And if your skin is a little bit on the medium to medium dark skin tone, try to find a white base that has a little bit more of a yellow color to it. So it is white, but it's leaning more towards the warm side, just so that way when you do put it on your eyelids, it doesn't look chalky and it doesn't look dry. Now, if your skin tone is deep to deep dark, try finding a shade that has a little bit more of a flesh tone to it. If you put a flesh tone shade on a deep dark skin tone, it almost looks like it is a flat white. So just be sure to go with something that is a little bit warmer in color. Now, before we do eyeshadow application, it is recommended that you do wear an eyeshadow primer. So as you can see on my eyelids right now, I don't have anything on them. So if I was just to take an eyeshadow and put it directly on it, it's not going to be even. And also too, you're not going to get that vibrancy from the eyeshadow because it is going onto your skin. And naturally, our skin tone is uneven. So you want to be sure to even out your skin tone before you do eyeshadow application. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and prime my eyes. I went ahead and pulled my hair back just so that way I have a better view of both sides of my face. You want to make sure that your eyeshadow application is symmetrical, so I highly recommend just pulling your hair back just for the time that you're applying your eyeshadow. Now, my favorite eyeshadow primer is from AOA Beauty. As you guys already know as of right now that this is one of my favorite brands. The website is called Shop Miss A. Their makeup items are really inexpensive, but their ingredients and their formula are comparable to some of the highest brands out there. So I'm going to go ahead and use their liquid eyeshadow primer. There's a lot of different types of eyeshadow primer. I personally have played with so many different types out there. There's some that come in a pot and there's some that come like this. That's almost kind of like a liquid to cream form. I personally prefer this. It's a lot thinner and a lot lighter weight. Whenever you're using an eyeshadow primer that comes in a pot, it's really thick, and whenever you put that on your eyelid and do eyeshadow application afterwards, I feel like it overall makes the eyelids look a little bit dry and a little bit textured. So I personally don't like a pot primer, but if you love a pot primer and it works great for your eyelids, go ahead and do that. I know it's great if your skin is very oily or oily to very oily. So if your skin is oily to very oily, be sure to use an eyeshadow primer that has a little bit more of a clay base to it, just so that way it does kind of neutralize and dry out the eyelids. If your skin is very dry, I recommend going with the eyeshadow primer that I'm going to be using, just so that way your eyelids don't look dry and textured. Now, I don't like to ever take the product and go directly onto my skin and then blend it afterwards. You're not going to get a thin, even application. So whenever dealing with any product, I always put it onto the back of my hand first. It does overall make everything just look more natural, and that is the professional way to do it. Now, I went ahead and took the product and put it onto the back of my hand. And now I'm going to be using a synthetic brush, because whenever dealing with a cream product, you always want to use a synthetic brush. So now I'm going to go ahead and apply the primer onto my eyelid. Now the primer I like to take from my lash line all the way up underneath my eyebrow, but I'm going to start off at the inside corner of my eye and focus it more on the lash line, and then whatever is left over, I'll go ahead and take that just right up underneath the brow. And then once I'm done applying my eyeshadow primer, I like to take my finger and just tap that eyeshadow primer into the skin. Your finger is not only your best friend in the kitchen whenever you're cooking, you know how they say your hands are your best friends in the kitchen, but also too in makeup application. The warmth of your finger naturally blends everything into the skin, so your finger is also your best friend while doing makeup application. So don't be hesitant to use your finger. It does overall just make everything look like skin, which is overall, you know, the importance of makeup. You want it to look overall natural. So now I'm going to go ahead and just scoop a little bit of product on the other side. But before I put it on the other side, I just want you guys to go ahead and take a look. So as you can see, this side just has a really thin veil of a primer. So whenever I put a little bit of product on top of it, it is going to grab that color, but it doesn't have this overall just really dry, even tone. It still looks like skin, but gives me just a little bit of coverage that I need. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this side just so that way you guys can see the difference. Be sure to coat both sides of the brush. Don't just take the product and put it on one side of the brush, just so that way it doesn't go on heavy on that one specific side. And also too, you can alternate sides. So say for example, you're putting some primer on this side and you feel like you need a little bit more, just go ahead and flip your brush and take that all the way up underneath the eyebrow. Okay, and then once you're done, again, take your finger. You can also layer primer too if you feel like, you know, you want it just to add a little bit more primer. It's not as opaque as you want it to be. Just go ahead and add another layer. Again, you always want to build your makeup. You never want to apply a lot and then try and remove it afterwards. It just overall just ends up kind of ruining your makeup. So once I'm done with my eyeshadow primer, I'm going to go ahead and go in with my base color. Now everybody needs a base color to put on top of their primer. If you went ahead and right now and just added your crease color, it's going to stick to that primer and it's not going to blend. So you want to be sure to put a base on top of your primer, so when you do go in with any color, it blends really flawlessly. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my white color. Now for every single brush that I'm going to be using, I'm going to go ahead and link them for you down below. I am going to be using some different brushes just for different parts of the eye, but all of these brushes are under $8. They are from e.l.f. Beauty and I highly recommend them. So yeah, I'm going to be using a lot of different brushes, but all these brushes are going to add up to the price of one brush. So you guys are really going to love this. So when dipping your brush into the powder, you want to go ahead and tap the excess off. So now I'm going to go ahead and apply it onto my eyelid. Whenever applying the eyeshadow onto your eyelid, just be sure to pack it in place. I specifically do this just with my base color, just so that way I really am sure that I do have my base color all over the eyelid. Perfect. So as you can see, I just put that base color on top of my primer, and it does enhance that primer, and it also makes it a little bit more opaque, and you can totally tell the difference with an eyeshadow on top of the primer. So I highly recommend that you do take a flat white color, whatever your skin tone is, and put that on top of your eyeshadow primer. So now I'm going to go ahead and do it on this side. Perfect. Now I like to build my base color, so I'll do one thin layer all over, and then I just like to go back in and do a little bit on the inside corner. I personally like it to look a little bit brighter on the inside corner. It does open and separate the eyes, so I do like to put just a little bit extra in that inside corner so you could see how it really does just accentuate that inner eye. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, just focusing on the inside corner. If you're the type of person that doesn't like to wear a lot of makeup, this is also a really nice, just polished makeup application. You don't have to wear full-on eyeshadow every single day. So just tailor your eyeshadow routine to your specific daily routine. There's no right or wrong way to wear eyeshadow. I'm just going to show you some simple basic techniques that you can incorporate into your makeup routine. So now that I'm done applying my overall base color, I'm going to move in with my crease color. Now like I said, there's a lot of different type of crease colors out there. So I like to go in with one that's a little bit lighter. I know a lot of people, whenever they think about the crease color, they immediately want to go in with this almost bronzy tone. I personally feel like that's just a little bit too dark to go in with initially. So I like to go in with this almost flesh tone. So it has a little bit of pink and yellow. Again, tapping off my excess. And now whenever doing your crease color, you literally want to put it in the crease. So that's going to be right where your eye naturally folds. And always start on the outside corner. So just in case you accidentally have too much product on there, it's okay to have it a little bit darker on the outside, because naturally our eyes should be a little bit darker on the outside. So just to be safe and not sorry, always start on the outside corner and then just go back and forth focusing on the crease. Perfect. And then once you're done distributing that color onto the crease, I like to take whatever's left over on my brush and just kind of fade it out on the crease, so I'm not moving from that spot, but I'm just kind of blending it outwards, so that way there's no harsh lines. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the crease on my other side. Again, tapping off the excess. Start off on the outside corner and work your way inward. Now, real quickly, before I finish this eye, I do want to share something with you. If you cannot have, multiple different brushes, you only have what you have, AOA Beauty has this really great in-between eyeshadow brush cleaner. So it has this sponge that's a little bit rough in texture. Again, all of their products are only $1. So this right here is only $1. So say you only have one eyeshadow brush or only a few eyeshadow brushes, you can take your brush and it erases all the color that's on there, and it is dry, so you can go ahead and re-dip back in another color. So this is great if you just kind of want to clean your brushes in between uses. Again, I'm focusing on the crease. And then once I'm done applying all that color, whatever is left over on my brush, I'm not re-dipping my brush, I'm just going to stay on that crease and just blend it out. Okay, so now that we're done applying the crease shade, you're more than welcome just to go out like this. So if you're the type of person that doesn't like to wear a lot of makeup, just doing a really simple eyeshadow primer, base, and crease color is really beautiful. So you're more than welcome to go out like this. In case you want to make it a little bit more dramatic, I'm going to show you how to build your eyeshadow. So now I'm going to go in with a color that's just a little bit deeper than my flesh tone color. So I'm not necessarily going in with any warm shade yet. I'm still using skin tone colors. Again, I'm going to start from the outside corner and then I'm going to focus in the crease. And eyeshadow is all about blending, so just be sure to go back and forth and really blend. Flip your brush over just so that way you really make sure that everything is blended just in case there is some pigment on the other side. And then once you're done focusing that application on the crease, again, you're just going to go right over the work that you did just to blend out any harsh lines. Now, if your eye shape is round and you want to make your eye shape look a little bit more almond, instead of focusing on the crease, once you're done, kind of take it out a little bit in a V shape. So that way your eyes look a little bit more almond. Now, if your eyes are a little bit more almond and you don't want to accentuate the width of your eye, you want to, accentuate the height of your eye, don't take it out too far on the side, just so that way it doesn't make your eyes look more elongated. Really focus at this part right over here, which is right at the top of the crease. That's going to make your eyes look more open and more big. Perfect. So once we're done with that side, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the other side, and you can see how naturally I'm starting to build my eyeshadow, but it's not, this really soft, light color that's on the crease and then immediately goes into like this chocolate brown or this bronzy color. So it's all about looking, blended and natural. So this is how I like to apply my eyeshadow. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. Also, too, a little bit goes a long way. You don't have to really go in with the eyeshadow. Just kind of tap it a little bit on both sides. Focusing in the crease. So again, you guys, if you want your eyes to look more round, just focus right over here. If you want your eyes to look a little bit more elongated, that's when you're going to focus right on this inside corner right over here and extend your eyeshadow outwards. And then once you're done applying that eyeshadow in the crease, you're just going to go right over the work that you just did and really blend it out. Perfect. So that is the eyeshadow application on both sides. So this is great for an everyday eyeshadow look. Now I'm going to show you how to make it look a little bit warmer. So now I'm going to go in with this really beautiful, almost camel bronzy color. And now I'm going in with a little bit of a smaller brush. Again, I'm going to go ahead and link them for you down below. Now that I'm done doing my crease color, I like to focus on my actual eyelid. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take this really beautiful, almost bronzy color and just put it at the outside corner of the eye. And then I'm going to look up and I'm going to put it at the outside corner of my eye underneath my lash line. So that way I'm connecting my eyeshadow from the lash line all the way up into the crease. So again, you're going to place it right at the outside corner of the eye. And then you're going to look up. And you're going to put it right at the outside corner of your eye. And then you're going to take whatever is left over and just blend that into the crease. So that kind of makes your eyeshadow look a little bit more smoky. And also, too, you're connecting the lower lash line to the eyeshadow crease. So that way, overall, it does give you a more seamless and more flawless eyeshadow application. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. Again, you're going to start from the outside corner. So now we're actually placing it on the eyelid. We're going to put it on the outside corner of the eye. And we're just going to blend right over here. And then we're going to look up. And we're going to connect that corner right over here. And then whatever is left over, you can go ahead and take that right into the crease. Perfect. Now, once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and just make it look a little bit smokier. Now, you guys are more than welcome to stop at any step that you think is beautiful. I'm just going to go ahead and continue just so that way you guys can pick and choose whatever look that you guys like. So now I'm going to go in with one that's just a little bit darker. And whenever you want to go in with a shade that's a little bit darker, just go over that spot that I just did. You don't want to make the crease look any darker, because then you're going to take away that color and that naturalness of the crease, and it's not going to give that ombre effect. So always keep dark colors at the outside corner of your eye. And I'm going to show you a really beautiful trick that I love to do for my lower lash line that just makes your lower lash line look really smoky and really beautiful. So I can't wait for that step. That step's going to be really, really pretty. Alright, so I went ahead and just made that side a little bit warmer. Now I'm going to go ahead and enhance the shade on this side. Alright, you guys, so once I'm done and once I'm happy with the darkness and everything of my eyeshadow, I'm going to go ahead and take a clean eyeshadow brush. So an eyeshadow brush that has absolutely nothing on it. Again, if you only have one eyeshadow brush, I really highly recommend getting this from AOA that cleans your brushes in between. And you're just going to take that clean eyeshadow brush and you're just going to go over all the work that you just did, just to make sure that there's no harsh lines. But don't take this clean brush and go all the way up under the eyebrow, because we don't want to take this dark color and put it over or underneath the eyebrow. You just want to take this and go over the work that you just did, which is on the crease and on the eyelid, just so that way everything looks really natural and really blended and there's no harsh lines. So as you can see right over here, this side I applied all the color. Yeah, it's still blended, but you can overall see just how this one is more flawless, more effortless, and more airbrush. So that's how you achieve that look, is just by taking a clean eyeshadow brush and just going over the work that you just did, and just go back and forth over the crease and the outside corner. Again, just don't go up underneath the eyebrow, so that way you don't take any darkness underneath the brow. You want it to be really light underneath the brow, so it lifts and arches your brow. Perfect, so as you can see, now both sides are blended. Perfect. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to show you how I like to do my lower lash line. So for the lower lash line, you're going to need a really tiny, loose blending brush. And for the lower lash line, I like to go in with a shade that is really warm. Whenever you're doing your lower lash line, you want to completely stay away from any colors that have red in it. If you take any red underneath your lash line, it could make your eyes actually look red, tired, or sick. So I highly recommend just staying away from any pink or any red underneath the eye, just so that way your eyes don't look red. So try to stay with any almost like bronzy color. So any color or any of your favorite color that you like to put in the crease, you can go ahead and take that up underneath the lash line. If you don't have a bronzy color to wear in your crease or underneath the lash line, feel free to actually use your bronzer. I've done that before, and all the makeup artists have done that before. So go ahead and do that. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I like to do my lower lash line. I'm going to use a really small blending brush. Again, I'm going to go ahead and link it for you down below. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how I like to do my lower lash line. So very first thing that you want to do is dip your brush into the product, and then again, wipe off the excess. Now, a lot of people, whenever doing the lower lash line, they will look up into the mirror and put it right up underneath the lower lash line. You can do that, but I feel like it's a little bit just too far away, and I don't really want my lower lash line to be that thick and that dark. So I actually like to take the product and I'll just close my eyes and I'll put it right on my lashes. So as you can see, I'm literally putting it right on top of my eyelashes. So I'm not going underneath. I'm not, opening and looking up and going right up underneath. So I'll show you. It looks weird. It feels weird. But when I'm done, you're going to see just how beautiful and how flawless that eyeshadow application is. And also, too, look how it gives you a really smoky upper lash line and lower lash line. So I highly recommend you guys do that. I'm going to do it again just to make it a little bit more intense. gonna go ahead and just tap that excess onto the back of my hand. And I'm just gonna place my brush and just put it right in between my eyelashes. So don't go on top, don't go underneath, just stay right under, and look how perfectly smoky your upper lash line and your lower lash line. So I really, really love that technique. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. I found this out when I was actually doing my eyeshadow on myself. I would take my eyeshadow and put it underneath, and I just felt like it didn't look blended. It wasn't going in between my eyelashes, because I don't like to see the line of where the eyeshadow is and then where your lash line is. It doesn't look blended. So if you want your eyeshadow application to overall look blended and have no lines, this is the most beautiful way to do your lower lash line. Alright, so I just got done doing my lower lash line, and you can see that technique, just how beautiful and how blended that lower lash line connects to your top lash line and just overall connects the eyeshadow application. Alright you guys, so once you're done with your eyeshadow application, I'm going to show you how to add a little bit of brightness to your eyeshadow. So this is just a basic eyeshadow routine that you guys can incorporate to your makeup regimen. Like I said, you guys can feel free to stop at any step that you like, but now you know how to build your eyeshadow colors naturally without them looking, you know, not seamless or not blended. You always want to start off with your light shades first and then add the dark shades. You never want to start with your dark eyeshadow color first and then go in with your light color. It doesn't look blended, and it will never look blended. So the only way for your eyeshadow to really look seamless is to start with your canvas and then add color. Whenever you're doing your face makeup, you don't start with your bronzer and then you add your foundation. So always do everything in the order that it should be, so that way you can get the most flawless makeup application. Now let's add some color. Now let's add some sparkle, because we need to sparkle up the eyes a little bit. Now, like I said, tailor it to your specific personality or routine, but if you do want your eyeshadow just to look a little bit more played up, I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to use this just simple pearl eyeshadow color that is really, really pretty, that I got from e.l.f. actually. So this is just a really pretty pearl eyeshadow color, very simple, very basic. I'm going to go ahead and take just a simple eyeshadow brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and take this and put it on the inside corner of my eye. So this will really enhance, open, separate your eye. I like to use eyeshadow colors that are more shiny. I don't like to use anything that's too sparkly. I just feel like it's a little much for a daily basis. But if you guys do want to add sparkle, I highly recommend the KKW Beauty loose pigments. Those are really beautiful. They almost give a shine and a sparkle at the same time. So I kind of like something that's a little bit shiny and sparkly, not necessarily just sparkles, because if it's just sparkles, it can fall over the face, and then you'll have sparkles on your face, and just overall it doesn't really look natural. So if you're going for something more natural, try to go with something that is more of a pearl finish. You will still get that brightness, but like I said, it's not going to be overall sparkly. So I added a little bit of shimmer on the inside corner of my eye. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a little shimmer on the inside corner. And you can see how this really small brush is important. It really just packs on that color and makes it more concentrated. Now I'll go ahead and just wipe my brush off completely. And then once I'm done wiping my brush off completely, I'll just take whatever's left over, because there's still pigment left over, and I'll just take that right up underneath my eyebrow on the outside again, because we only want to put anything that has a pearly finish on the outside corner of the brow. So you can instantly see just how that little bit of brightness really does open, separate the eyes on the inside corner, and just give you overall a really beautiful radiance on the inside corner. So now if you want to add a little bit of color to the lid, I'm going to show you where I like to add a little bit of color to the lid. So now I'm going to go ahead and go in with this really beautiful bronzy shade. Let me go ahead and swatch that for you. So it's just a really, really pretty bronzy colors. These are usually the colors that I like to go with if I ever want to amplify my eyeshadow. It still gives you that brightness, but it's not super metallic or really bright. So I really, really love this if I do kind of want to spruce up my eyeshadow. So So I'm going to go ahead and just dip my brush into this color, again taking whatever is left over, tapping it onto the back of my hand just so that way we don't have any fallout. I personally like to do my makeup first. I like to have my blank canvas and then I'll go in with color. So taking the eyeshadow and taking it onto the back of your hand or tapping it off does prevent any fallout. So now I'm going to go ahead and apply this eyeshadow. So whenever I want to apply a pop color eyeshadow or just really enhance my lids, I'll just go ahead and take that and I'll put that right at the top of the crease. So I'm not going to take it right over here because this is where we really warmed up our eyeshadow. So if we take something really shiny and put it on the outside, it's not going to give us that smoky eye effect, because in order to achieve smokiness, it has to be dark on that side. So you want to be sure to take anything that has any sort of reflective pigment and just focus it on the inside corner or at the top of your eyelid, right over here. And you'll see too, when you place it right there, it makes everything just overall look more blended. So you have this really beautiful pearly color, and then it starts to blend into this bronzy color, and then it goes to this really beautiful chocolate brown. So whenever you want to add any sort of color, just be sure to take it right here in the center of the eye, but focusing it more on the crease. You don't want to take it too low to the lower lash line because that's where we have our brightest. So right over here in the top of the crease. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side just so that way you guys can see the same eyeshadow application on the other side. So again, I'm just going to take that color and I'm putting it right at the top of the crease, not too close to the lash line, not too close to the outside corner, but just right over here, just so that way I can get a little bit of pop in my eyes, but it doesn't, you know, erase all that work that we just did. So now I'm going to go ahead and add another layer. I generally like to add 2 layers. If you don't want to sit there and layer your pigment to make it look really radiant, you can go ahead and take your setting spray or whatever you have and just spray it on the brush, so that way it really does pick up that pigment and make it more concentrated. Always wet or spray the brush, never spray or wet your product. It will damage the product. I'm just going to take that really beautiful bronzy color and just put it right up on my eye. Now you can also take a little bit of a bronzy shade and put it right up underneath the lash line. If you do want to take a bronzy or any color and put it underneath the lash line, just be sure not to use a blending brush. A small blending brush was great using it underneath because it really gives that smokiness in the eye. But if you want to add any color, be sure to use a really concentrated, dense brush. So I'm going to use the one that I use underneath my eyebrow. So I'm going to go ahead and take the bronzy color. And then for this one, I'm going to go ahead and look up, and I'm just going to place it right at my lash line. And then when you take that bronzy color and just place it right up underneath that eyelash line, it just makes it overall look more blended. It makes it look more natural. So I really love adding just a little bit of color just right over here, just so that way, again, it mimics the top eye and it looks overall more natural. So as you can tell, we have a light color and then it fades to medium and dark. So that's exactly how it should look underneath. It should be really light and then fade from medium to dark. So if you take that really bronzy color or that light color and take it all the way up underneath the eye, it's going to lose this really beautiful smokiness that we have at the outside corner. So now I'm going to go ahead and take some and just put it right up under here as well. So just focusing it right up on the tear duct and on the lash line. Perfect. Alright you guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this eyeshadow tutorial, and I really hope that it was informative for you. If you guys have any questions on eyeshadow application or what specific eyeshadow colors are right for your skin type, don't be hesitant to comment me. I would be more than happy to answer them for you. But until next time, I will see you on another episode where we're going to be doing eyeliner, and I'm going to be teaching you how to do wing liners, smoky eyeliner, how to put on eyelashes. So if you guys are interested in seeing different types of makeup application and different types of eyeliner techniques for your skin tone, then feel free to come on back. But until then, I will see you on another episode, and thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful day. Take care.